Welcome, everybody. So I'm Steve Hoberman. I manage Technics Publications, and we're very excited today to have Mark and Terry's book release celebration for Data Governance Needs Risk Management. I love these book release celebrations, and there are three really good reasons. One is, well, first, to celebrate. It's such a amazing achievement to be able to write, edit, go through several cycles of 30,000 words, 50,000 words. Just the idea of putting together a book is monumental. So we're here to celebrate that for Mark and Terry. Second reason is that I love to learn why somebody writes a book. We're together now for maybe 20 minutes in this presentation, and it's actually not easy to summarize all the reasons why, from when before the book was even written, before even one word was put down, like what led to getting to this book. What are the reasons why the authors wrote the book? And the third reason is I love to hear the key messages, just what they hope the readers get out of the book. What we'll do too, for fun, at the end of our time together, we're going to raffle off a copy of the book, a digital copy of the book. So stay around till the end. Now, I don't know how many of you have the book and read it. I know John, I know a few of us have copies, but it's a book that will help you gain confidence in regulatory compliance, drive effective infotech investment, and uplift organizational knowledge for effective data governance. Terry and Mark, I've enjoyed working with them through this whole process. They have an incredible amount of experience in financial analytics and data management. In fact, if you add up their years, I think it's over 60 years of experience. Their passion is providing education and support that gives their clients the skills and confidence to cut through complexity and get what they need to succeed. And you could definitely, when you read the book, you get that feeling. They are succeeding in explaining sometimes complex concepts in a very easy to understand way. And without further ado, I'll turn it over to Mark and Terry.
Thank you, Steve. So yes, we're very, very excited about this. So welcome, ladies and gentlemen. Terry, if you'd like to click through the slide here. Terry's in control, of course.
As usual.
First of all, we have this tradition in Australia for acknowledgement of country. So I would like to acknowledge the Bidjigal people of the Eora Nation. They are the traditional custodians of our lands, waters and sky, where we live, work and play. And we pay respects to their elders past and present and emerging, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islanders peoples. Thank you, Terry. So a little bit about Terry and I. We've been fooling around in data management and information management for a good number of years. We met back in 1998 in Chattanooga, Tennessee, and we co-founded, we love working with each other, so we co-founded our own company, Introverse, in 2007 in Sydney. It's been quite a long journey for both of us. As you can probably tell from my accent, I'm originally, well, I grew up in the UK. That's not where I'm originally from. I'm from the Southern Hemisphere, but we've both ended up in the Southern Hemisphere here. So Introverse is an education and software company, and we do specialize in business language and information governance. So a little bit, Terry, give us a bit of background on you.
Okay, my background. I'm not an IT person, although I've spent a lot of time working with both IT and the business people. I have a finance background. I started doing, after my accounting degree, I started in a risk management department in an insurance company. And I was the ultimate hunter-gatherer, always, looking for information. So I kind of made a really good relationship with one of the people in the IT department so that they would get me files that I could use for my analysis. So from that point, my vice president of risk management had come to me and said, we're going to build a data warehouse. And this is in 1988. And I had no idea what she was talking about. I thought, okay, I had stacks and stacks of paper, in my office. And I figured, okay, you want me to move all this paper out? I thought she was making some kind of joke. And she said, no, 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 no. And she went on to explain a little bit about, what a data warehouse was and that we were going to build one. So we were a bunch of accountants and actuaries, in a business department, risk management, and we set off to build our first data warehouse. And it was pretty good success. We had Bill Inman actually come in to do a review of our design and everything. And he had said that there was nothing more that he could, give us, that we had pretty much done everything. So we were all, chuffed about that. And from that point on, the insurance company that I worked with went on to merge about 13 or 14 times. We won several lawsuits because of the warehouse in the days when, insurance companies were constantly getting sued. And it became one of the biggest insurance companies in the US. So I spent enough time in insurance and I thought, okay, I want to do something else. I want other industries. I want to learn. And I started to work at Teradata. And the very first thing I said is, don't put me in insurance. I want to travel. I want to go someplace. And my first client, of course, was an insurance company. So I started to become an insurance expert in Teradata, and I said, okay, stop. And then finally, I got an opportunity to come to Australia. And actually, Mark was working for Teradata at the time, and he said, oh, we need a good data modeler in Australia. So, I was like, pick me. And that was how I ended up in Australia in 2002. And I thought I was only going to come here for, a year or two. And 20 some odd years later, here I am, still here.
So yeah, I had a similar kind of journey in that I started out in manufacturing and process engineering. So I've come, again, not from an IT background, but I ended up managing the manufacturing systems in a small division of Exxon in the UK. And built my first data warehouse in about 1995. Didn't even know it was called a data warehouse. It was manufacturing systems and laboratory systems integration of all the data so that the engineers could keep track of what we were making. I got fairly excited about wanting to explore the USA, and so I got an opportunity in '98 to go to the USA, and that's where I met Terry in Chattanooga, Tennessee, in an insurance company, 1998. And again, realized what a fantastic data modeler Terry was back then. So I ended up in Australia doing a data warehouse for communications company here. So that was our first experience, brought Terry over. And I see Mark Chambers is on the call, and Mark was our client way back then in 2002, I think it was. So yeah, we had a bit of an exciting experience there. We can probably go into a little bit more anecdotes if we have time, but I do remember one particular thing where we managed to balance the billing system data into the data warehouse. And Terry and I both, although we've been designers and pretty much, we also roll our sleeves up and get dirty with the data sometimes. So in this particular instance, we've managed to figure out the billing system data. And we were about to go live, and the person that was writing the billing code, we were a bit concerned because that person kept saying, yeah, it's nearly ready, it's nearly ready.
Nearly done.
And then on the Friday before the go live the following week, I went and had a look at the code, and it was a huge piece of SQL with lots of insert stuff here, insert stuff here. This was obviously not going to be ready. So I said to Terry, we're going to have to go in and work at the weekend. And we built this entire, not just the ETL for this billing system, but also we had to build some audit trail stuff in there as well to manage these continually changing billing codes. So what we're going to be talking about a little bit today is definitions. Okay, so we needed some codes for these audit trail, and we have said, okay, well, when it's good, we'll put it okay, and when it's really bad, I'm just going to, for right now, I'm going to put FU. Completely forgot about it. It went live, and the operations manager, when we were doing the handover, said, "Oh, what does FU mean?" And I quickly thought, uh-oh. I said, "It failed unconditionally." So there we go. There's a little bit of a story. Terry, if you can, a bit of our background. So through our many years of business intelligence, data warehousing, and so on, we've seen a lot of failures, but we've also seen a lot of successes. So we know what makes a successful information management environment, and one of those is business engagement and governance from the business side, not from the IT side, but from the business side. And the biggest problems we still see is lost organizational memory from staff attrition, which leads to poor systems, regulatory non-compliance, and there's a lot of money being thrown at technology. The latest buzzword. Let's jump on the bandwagon, but we're seeing companies do this without really getting a good, solid foundation established. So what we've written about is that solid foundation. And, based on some research, 38% of failed projects are because of poorly defined information needs. So Terry and I thought, well, over the many years, we've noticed that English language, or rather business language, is core to getting good outcomes with your data. You've got to have good language and understand what we need. And so we put together over the years what we call the Intraline ecosystem, which is a 4-point strategy for managing. And this is the book really now, is how do we capture knowledge and define our information needs, capturing that know what and know how, building communities in sociality, so communities of practice around that language that then can start to understand the nuances and the issues that we have with data, be able to communicate that more effectively to the IT builders of the systems in our infotech, and get better investment on the things that matter to the business right now, rather than the shiny toys. And then ultimately start to manage our information resources as a business-led function, rather than just a pure IT function. We're very happy we've won a couple of awards for that. And we've said for several years we wanted to put this in a form that was more easily digestible. Terry and I have spent a lot of time talking with companies about this, about the problems, about getting good language and so on, and it resonates with our audience, but quite often, those people are only in the companies for a year or two and they move on. And so we've been wanting to be able to expand our reach, and we decided back in 2018 to write a book. We wrote our first draft back then. We weren't really happy with it. It was a bit rough around the edges. So when Steve approached us back last June and said, need something on business language and definition, we said, okay, we've got something, we'll put it together. And the data governance needs risk management is the outcome of that. So it's putting that KSIR, knowledge, sociality, infotech and resources strategy into print. And we're hoping that it's going to reach a lot more people. So about the language, the big part of the book is about language. And we have this saying, what you think I said is not what I think you heard. That might resonate with you if you've ever been in an elevator or having a conversation in a meeting room and you're in violent agreement with somebody, but you feel that they're just not really understanding. Quite often, or I've been in meetings, doing business analysis, and I've been in workshops and meetings where people are in agreement, but I can tell there's obviously a misunderstanding. They're agreeing about two different things.
Or they're arguing the same point.
Absolutely.
And don't realize it.
And it's all around ambiguity. So we thought there's got to be a way of managing and understanding ambiguity. And there's three kinds of ambiguity, and we cover this in the book. So ambiguous terminology, we've got lexical ambiguity, and that's because there's a huge number of words in the English language that have more than one meaning. So, you know, we're obviously going to be hearing the words and internally, you know,
putting our perception on.
Exactly. Thank you. So, for example, you know, account, what is an account? And it's these common words quite often that are the ones that have the biggest misunderstanding. We did some work with a large bank here in Australia, 24 senior managers, asked them to write down how many customers they have. This was a bank that was embarking on a customer sentiment strategy. And we got 18 different answers ranging from about 3 million to over 50 million. So obviously the word customer had a completely different meaning with those people. And the next kind of ambiguity is syntactic ambiguity. So this is when we don't really understand the syntax of the statement. For example, we've got that one. My favorite there is visiting relatives can be exhausting. Yes, they can be. Or, you know, the cat chased the mouse until it stumbled and fell. What is it? You know, whenever we see these little pronouns, we need to understand exactly what they mean. And should you bring wine or beer and dessert? So we've got some conjunctions there, but in which order do we process those conjunctions? Are we bringing wine or beer and dessert, or are we bringing wine and dessert or beer and dessert? So these statements, whilst we often write these kinds of things in emails, and we don't necessarily question what the audience is going to be hearing. And the final kind of ambiguity is this textual ambiguity, and this is very common with all of those abbreviations and acronyms that we hear in meeting. We often go into a new client and we hear all these acronyms being bandied around, and we'll ask people what do they mean, and quite often they don't actually know. So don't assume that people understand what these what their acronyms mean.
Much of their abbreviations.
They're all abbreviations. Acronyms are just a kind of abbreviation, so we like to call them abbreviations. So we came up about 10 years ago with this method of writing definitions that makes it really, really clear to understanding what our business terms mean and how we should be finding the data to support them. And this is just an example of how we structure our definition. And the book goes into quite a lot of detail as to how we write those definitions. And we've got a full definition standard that we publish as well. Any questions on that later? Quite happy to tell you all about it. And really what we're about, we want a world where everyone has access to what they need to succeed. So, you know, people are frustrated at work. People are hunting and gathering. Terry was the original hunter-gatherer. We want people to be able to easily find the information they need. So our methodology is all around how do you get to a state in your workplace or even in your home where you know exactly where everything is. And that resonates with our vision, mission, and values. And we believe in going beyond in the workplace and in support of the Global Goals Initiative, quality education. And we donate a portion of all our revenue, which will include any income from the books. We donate to the Indigenous Literacy Foundation, who are developing books for First Nations people in Australia in their own languages to ensure that every child has access to a good education right from the beginning. So that's a little bit about us. As I said, why we wrote that book was we really wanted to share what we've learned over the many, many years that we've been working in this industry, and leave it, make it available to everyone else.